Alright, hello, welcome. My name is Bjorn. Thank you for joining me today, and we're going to be looking at the Rune Knight, a UA archetype for the fighter. It's pretty impressive. If you want a quick answer, it's fucking great. Play it. It's fun. There's some downsides, of course, like anything, but overall, there's a lot of damage potential, a lot of support, and a lot of utility that this character can have. And by support, I mean they can be something akin to a tank. I don't really subscribe to the idea that tanks necessarily exist within Dungeons and Dragons. You sort of can, but I think tank is more of a term from RPGs, or like World of Warcraft, where there's a tank that gathers aggro, and they pretty much never lose aggro, and mobs always hit them, and everything's fine. Things aren't always fine in Dungeons and Dragons, so there can be tank-like people, but it's not quite like how RPGs function. But that's another video. But yeah, as for the Rune Knight, it feels really nice. Recently, I did come up with a homebrew for creating runes, and now that this is out, I have to redo it all because I love this. Recently, it was just going to be boons, or a feat in which I was going to give somebody, it was like, oh yeah, you can start rune crafting, you're going to have to go out and find these runes. It's fairly akin to this. A lot of this goes into the story of how you can enhance your martial prowess using supernatural powers of the runes. The ancient practice of rune magic originated from the giants, and it can be found amongst any types of giants. You likely learned your methods first or secondhand from such a mystical artisan. I don't know why all of a sudden once I start recording, English just kind of goes out the window for me. Whatever. So whenever you found such a giant's carved into the hillside or the cave, or learned from runes of a traveling sage, essentially with this, it's very much akin to a wizard, except it's a very unique perspective of a wizard. I could see a wizard doing something akin to this for learning spells. Oh, we're learning some ancient magical spell. Maybe the only way that they can learn, say, true polymorph is through some ancient script on a wall that's been hidden away and tucked into the vast corners of nowhere. I guess that'd better fit Wish, but like this adds some pretty cool adventuring hooks, some nice rewards that you can give to your players as the dungeon master, and it also allows for not just all these runes that exist here, but it opens up for all the runes that you can just homebrew. Like, think of, like, maybe once your character, he has to learn all these base runes that exist, and they're common amongst giant knowledge. That's what I'm gonna consider all these runes here myself. And then once he figures that out, maybe he's able to start, or she is able to start crafting out their own runes. Maybe they need a certain utility that, they combine elements of the one and the other, and hey, hi-ho, magic. And it creates something that's a desired effect for them. So it acts in the same sense with how wizards can craft their own spells. And I love that it's branching out onto the fighter here. But with how I really want to see this, and what I want to see from Wizards of the Coast, I don't want this just to be limited to the Rune Knight here. I want this to branch out. I want this to, as akin to, say, the Battle Master fighter. I want it to, I really want it to be a feat. I want it to be, like, not as powerful, obviously, because now that there's a whole archetype, it can't be. But, as like some sort of feat where, as in, they can maybe learn one rune that they can activate once a day. With the Rune Knight here, we can activate, like, it depends on each of the runes here, but most of them, from what I've seen, is you can activate it once at lower levels on a short or a long rest. So maybe as a feat, it could be once on a long rest, and you're not as proficient with it in that way, and that kind of exemplifies it. But I'm rambling. This is gonna be a very rambly video and just thoughts, but that's how it is. I really love this class. We'll go into a little bit of detail here and there. I'm not gonna go word for word. I know that this has been out for a little bit, so I'm sure people have read this and maybe looking for a different perspective or whatever, or some asshole just rambling away in the corner of his room. So at 3rd level, besides just the runic magic that we gain, we also gain bonus proficiencies, we gain smithing tools, and we learn how to speak, read, and write giant. So pretty neat. Useful. Sure, whatever. You may have already had smithing if you want to roleplay it out so that there's a progression from level 1 to level 3 instead of level 3, and all of a sudden, I'm a smith, even though you're out, like, killing goblins. Actually, you know what, maybe if you're killing goblins with a hammer, you just kind of got used to it. But, anyways, rune magic. At 3rd level, of course, you learn how to use the runes to enhance your gear. When you use this feature, you learn how to inscribe 2 runes of your choice on weapons, armor, or shields. See rune options. That's probably right over here. Wow, I'm blind. When you finish a long rest, you can touch a number of objects equal to the number of runes you know, and you inscribe a different rune onto each of the objects. To be eligible, an object must be a weapon, a suit of armor, or a shield. So it's somewhat limiting. I kind of like that. The reason why I kind of like it as a limiting is because, well, I consider, like, for example, what's a suit of armor? What a suit of armor for, like, say, full plate would be, you know, the full plate gear. It's everything. You know, it's plate. But I'm not sure how that would work with, like, well, if leather would be fine. I mean, it doesn't really matter, actually. Yeah, it doesn't really matter that it's limited to something. Because you only have so many runes that you can inscribe onto your shit anyways, and at the beginning it's only 2, so... But, you know, whatever. Also, you can't inscribe more than 1 rune on the same thing, that's fine. Which is interesting, because once you get up to 4 runes, I believe, what else are you going to put it on? So you can only put it on a weapon, a shield, and a suit of armor? That's weird. Think of something. Anyways, runic options. If the rune requires a save, it's the DC plus 8 plus proficiency plus your intelligence modifier. So obviously this character is going to be very either strength or dex and intelligence based. The reason why I say dex as well, I originally thought that this character would purely just be a melee run and swing, which I really like, and that's probably how I'm going to play this character. But I think that there is potential for this to be a ranged character. How I've read a lot of the runes is that it's, say for example, for the fire. In addition, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, your weapon attack is a bow. That's fine. So it meets the criteria. You can invoke a rune to summon a fiery shackles. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained for 1 minute. While restrained, the shackled target takes 2d6 fire damage at the start of its turns. That's a lot of damage. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, banishing the shackles on its success. Once you invoke this rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or a long rest. So the fire rune's pretty cool. But yeah, that'd be really cool to go ahead and take a longbow and, like, say something's running away and you shackle it in fucking some fiery chains or some shit like that. That'd be really cool. And or something, if you're trying to kite something, that'd be an extraordinarily useful thing. Especially should there be a PvP situation. That's a very, very powerful tool and will piss off a lot of people. So some of the other rune options. We have the Hill Rune. The rune's magic bestows a reminiscent of a hill giant. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, and you have resistance against poison damage. In addition, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action, gaining resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for 1 minute. Once you invoke this rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or a long rest. So essentially, this rune is the Barbarian Rage ability. That is fucking cool. That is really, really cool. I really recommend taking the Hill Giant Rune, especially for the first couple of levels. That is going to save you a lot of damage and make you tanky as hell. In a way, it is a little bit better than the rage mechanic. The rage mechanic requires you to, at lower levels at least, before you get persistent rage, you have to go up and hit your target, or you have to take damage. And if not, you lose your rage, and then you have to spend another rage and get back into rage in order to get this. This is just up for a minute, so it's really good. And I mean, for a minute, you're just taking half damage. That's really impressive. Like, generally, one of the weaknesses of the Barbarian is that they start getting kited, and then they can't catch up, so they can't stay in rage, and then eventually they'll just be, killed from a distance. That's one possibility, but with this, I mean, at least you'll be taking half damage if you're being kited the whole time for a minute, so that's very, very, very powerful. But of course, once this starts to level up and the Barbarian gets more levels, the Barbarian's rage is far superior. It's a rage it's the Barbarian class is built around rage. They gain many benefits from it, so rage is better in the long run. But this is a very, very quick power gain for this character, for any character. So yeah, the Hill rune is definitely a top tier rune. For the Fire rune, we already went over the second part, but the rune's magic channels the masterful craftsmanship of the Fire Giant Smiths. While wearing this or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability checks that you make that uses this proficiency with a tool. Holy shit, words. So, this is pretty neat. The one thing that I was thinking about this is that this Rune Knight paired with an Artificer would be really cool. So, I mean, if you're an Artificer, the first part of this rune is useless. But otherwise, that's pretty neat. It adds a nice little flair. You're very proficient now in smithing. You have expertise in it, essentially. And that's very useful. I mean, it's, I guess it kind of depends on your game. It depends on your campaign. So, I mean, really, the second part's the most useful bit here. And the first bit, it depends all on the campaign, if you're needing to craft things more often, or, whatever. Coming on down into the Frost rune, the rune's magic invokes Frost Giant's Stoic Calm. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on Wisdom, Animal handling checks, and Charisma Intimidation checks. So pretty nice. I think I may have mentioned that certain runes are pretty selective to social encounters, unless that was a previous attempt at recording that failed. But anyways, one of the things that if I hadn't mentioned it, was that you have to select these runes per level. It acts very much like the sorcerer when you're picking out your spells. So like you can adjust your spells as a sorcerer once you level up, and then you're stuck with that. So coming up to the higher levels, you're gonna have to really make sure that you have kind of a wide variety of spells to choose from. I know some dungeon masters have allowed sorcerers just to pick willy-nilly. That is one of the things that I'm not anal about, but I kind of want it to stay in place because the wizards have such a hard time already. I think sorcerers have to really, their magic isn't earned per se. I mean, they can become better and better learn themselves and to better control and harness themselves, in which that case it does kind of earn. But in order for them to truly earn it, they have to. I think if I ever had a sorcerer get up to level 20, which I haven't, as I was dungeon mastering, I'd let them just choose, because they'd be fucking stuck with that. Except they wouldn't be able to choose their 9th spell again, because reasons. Anyways, second bit. That was a ramble. In addition, you can invoke the rune as a bonus action to increase your strength by a score of 2 for 10 minutes. This increase can cause your score to exceed 20, but not 30. I guess you need a belt of fucking Storm Giant strength for that to ever happen. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. So it's pretty neat, I guess. If you need an extra strength score, that's an extra to hit if you're playing a melee character, which I suspect most people will be with this. It isn't maybe as intuitive to play a ranged character with this, which is perhaps why I really like that it's a bit more open-ended with the rune crafting, and if you are playing a ranged character, I could see you crafting a rune that would benefit you more. But anyways, I think this is probably, I can't think of like spells or anything that would get your strength to 30. Like, I think I mentioned the Belt of the Storm Giant. That one brings your strength up to 29, I believe. I think. And then this would bring it up to 30. You can't exceed 30, but I don't know of any other way for a character to get up to a 30 strength. And that is fucking wild. That's a plus 10. That is a plus fucking 10. If you can achieve that, that is impressive. There may be another way. I haven't looked it up. I've never really considered it. Because I felt like 29 was an okay strength number to have once you achieve that. But if you want 30, fuck, here it is. But beyond that, if you're not a strength-based character, this is fucking trash. Besides, if you want the advantage on animal handling or charisma. So this is kind of like a mid-tier, I would say, rune. It's useful in the right situations, but overall it's a very specific rune, I would say. So the Cloud Rune. This rune magic emulates the Deceptiveness of a cloud giant. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on Dexterity, Sleight of Hand checks, and Charisma Deception checks. So this is very nice. This is kind of going more towards that more of an archer kind of build. Maybe you're a bit more. Maybe you took the criminal background. You have Sleight of Hand. I think you can gain Sleight of Hand from that. And also Deception checks. This is another kind of like social, but also a bit more utility role. Like, I guess animal handling has a certain utility to it, but it's a very it depends on your dungeon master, it depends on the setting, it depends on what's going on. How many animals are there that you're dealing with that you can actually make an animal handling check with to maybe tell it to calm the fuck down, or we're gonna kill it, or leave, or whatever. So I mean, I think that this the Cloud Rune with the first bit is a bit more useful, because I personally see my own players using Sleight of Hand and Deception a lot more often than Animal Handling and Intimidation. There's a few that use Intimidation, but if Intimidation fails, generally it ends in a fight. If Deception fails, people just know not to trust you, and it could end in a fight. In addition, when you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use a reaction to invoke the rune and cause the attack of to a target of a different. Let's redo that. In addition, when you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use a reaction to invoke the rune and cause the attack to target a different creature within 30 feet of you, other than the attacker. Using the same roll, this magic can transfer the attack regardless of the attack's range. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. So, I really like this. It's very, very powerful. This is kind of a bit tankier. This is what I quantify as being a support. This is very supportive and helps your group out a lot and helps yourself out a lot. Especially in some unique case. I think like a case that I could see this being absolutely devastating to, like, say a group of bandits attack you. Maybe there's a boss bandit or something like that they're an assassin, right? So they get their assassinate off. Maybe you were able to spot them with a high perception check. Maybe let's some fancy scenario here. Actually, you know what? You don't even need to spot them. This is a reaction. You can just do this. So, like, once you see that damage, that attack that's going off, you could just use this. At least that's how I'd let it. I don't know about other dungeon masters. You could just use this and, like, say fuck it, and the assassin would kill somebody else, pretty much, because nat 20. So that'd be a very the tables have turned kind of situation. The turns have tabled. And yeah, so this is a pretty neat one. I kind of like it. There's some unique situations that if you save it for the right opportunity, it's a game sense, so to say, rune. It's powerful in the right hands. If you're just going to use it willy-nilly and not be patient, then it's going to be useless. But if you wait and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, and you're waiting for, like, say, the enemy to get a crit, you may never use it. So in the right hands, you have to know that you're going to have to use it at some point, and you have to be a bit reluctant to use it at the same time. So this is a very, very powerful rune in the right hands, sort of like Widowmaker. People think she's overpowered. She's really not. She has a good toolkit. She's overpowered in the right hands. Let's go ahead and continue on here. The Stone Rune. This rune's magic channels the insightfulness of a stone giant. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on Wisdom Insight checks. You have Dark Vision out to a range of 60 feet. If you already have a Dark Vision, the range increases to 30 feet. So I can see a lot of humans going for this rune, and I can't blame them because this is really cool. Advantage on Wisdom Insight checks. Like, that's cool. I'm trying to think of what you... Like, if you're playing... Again, it's a more of a social kind of aspect, and I do like that most of these runes have, like, social aspects to them. That it will benefit them in some way. And the Dark Vision, this is overall... The first piece of this is very, very beneficial and useful to the player. I mean... Insight's great. I love it. It's probably my favorite skill to have and have as high as possible. Then Dark Vision's great. You know, not much to say. In addition, when a creature you can see ends its turn within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to invoke the rune and force creatures to make a Wisdom saving throw. Unless the save succeeds, the creature is charmed by you for 1 minute while charmed. In this way, the creature has a speed of 0 and is incapacitated, descending into a dreamy stupor. This effect ends if the charmed creature takes any damage, or if someone else uses an action to shake the creature out of its haze. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do so again until a short or a long rest. This is a very cool rune. I like this one. I kind of like it that this rune has a means of pacifying someone. It has a means of pacifying, like, you know, oh, we want the target alive. You're out bounty hunting. So, there you go. You've now captured them. They're falling asleep for a minute. A minute's all you'll really need in order to chain them up, and they're screwed. So, maybe, you know, if you take a dip into Sorcerer and you gain the meta magic to gain disadvantage on their save, that's something that I guess you could do for this Rune Knight with all of them, is just take a level 3 dip and gain meta magic. And all of a sudden, everything has disadvantage on their saves. So, that's an option. Alright, now for the Storm Rune. Using this rune, you can glimpse the future like a storm giant. While wearing or carrying an object inscribed with this rune, you have advantage on Intelligence Arcana checks, and you can't be surprised as long as you aren't incapacitated. I mean, that's not bad. Like, it kind of, it gets rid of the one sneak attack. It's very... I could see this more as a... I'm gonna give this as a Dungeon Master to an NPC. That way I can save them from a rogue sneak attack outright. You know, prolong the fight a little bit longer. But otherwise, as a character, I mean, like, it's still useful, of course. It's the alert feat. It's minimized. But, the additional advantage on Intelligence Arcana checks, I mean, that's nice. That's really good. I mean, if you're playing a wizard or you're playing the Arcanist in your group, then this is very, very useful. Extraordinarily useful. But if you're not, then meh. It might be a good one. I might actually... The way I could make this one good, kind of does fall onto the Dungeon Master sometimes. The way I could make this one good is that, say, like, how this character needs to go out and find these runes. Maybe in order for them to understand... Actually, yeah, 100%. For my characters, my players, if they want to go out and figure out these runes, They're gonna have to gonna have to make Arcana checks, or have someone help them make Arcana checks, gain advantage in that way. Yeah, I guess someone could just give them advantage in that way. So yeah, this is kind of an okay rune if you're the Arcanist in your group. I've just talked myself out of it. So yeah. In addition, when you invoke the rune as a bonus action, you enter a prophetic. Ugh, my eyes are dying. Prophetic. I know what the word is, but I can't say it. Pathetic state for 1 minute. I'm not going to try anymore. Until you're incapacitated for 1 minute, or until you're incapacitated. Until the state ends, when you or another creature you can see within 60 feet of you makes an attack roll, a save throw, or an ability check, you can use your reaction to cause the roll to have advantage or disadvantage. Once you invoke the rune, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. So, the first bit of this rune shit. The second bit of this rune is absolutely amazing. Wow, I don't remember reading this one before. I must have skipped it. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Second bit of this rune, absolutely overpowered, especially in situations, say, for the flanking rune, assuming, like, the flanking rule, the variant rule. So, like, I don't do the flanking rule. I don't like giving just advantage willy-nilly. I give a +1. I feel like that's sufficient. Especially because I felt like it kind of negates a lot of the other classes' abilities to gain advantage. If I'm running a fuck it game, then I'll just give them advantage. But if I'm running a semi-serious, whatever. But I kind of like this. It gives advantage where there otherwise may not have been one, even with the flanking rule. This is a very, very powerful ability. Especially if you have a rogue in your group and you just constantly give them advantage on their attacks. Like, the rogue is gonna fucking love you. They're gonna get free sneak attacks. Like, this is great. So yeah, this is powerful. Very, very powerful. This is a top tier rune for sure. Before I move on to the other third level feature, because I'm fairly certain that this has been a 30-minute video or more by now. Let's see here if I have any notes. So I was mentioning earlier that I want to see this turn into like a feat, as in akin to how the martial archetype for the other fighter martial archetype with the battle master goes, where they take they gain a superiority die, and they gain a maneuver. I like that. I want to see this akin to it. I want that so badly, but how all these runes are right now, I don't know if it's appropriate necessarily to do that. The reason why for that is because, like, they're all insanely powerful, and like if you just take the cloud rune, you're gonna be amazing at sleight of hand and deception checks, and like as a rogue, for example, or a shapeshifter changeling or something like that. You just take the feat and you gain that, and all of a sudden this becomes absolutely essential. So what I was thinking is that if you were to homebrew this, or if they do, hi Wizards, if you're watching my 130 subscriber channel, thank you by the way, guys. If you are watching, I want to see more runes. I want to see like the Blood Hunter, for example, that Matthew Mercer has. There is, he has, what is it called? Blood Maledicts? No, not the Blood Maledicts. It is... Okay, the Matthew Mercers... Oh, the Primal Rites. So, they gain an ability called the Crimson Rite, and they gain the choice to select between 3 of the Primal Rites at the beginning. Fire, Frost, and Storm. So, pretty basic runes. But then as that class progresses and they gain an archetype, in some cases, or down the line at level 11, I believe, they gain the ability to gain an exortrant or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. It's a very unique primal rite where they get to now do necrotic or radiant damage, for example. I kind of want to see something like that here, and I kind of want to see it like how the Arcanist has, sorry, the Arcanist, the Archivist, what am I saying right now? Let's see here, what class is there here that I am forgetting? The Artificer. Like the Artificer, they have a wide selection of things to choose from, and I love that about the Artificer. I was thinking that maybe there could just be simple runes that people might want to take over, say something absolutely insane like this. Maybe they would have to invest into the feat twice, and like you gain the ability to craft runes, or to have a limited knowledge of them in some shape or capacity, and then you take the feat again, which is an option for like many feats, like the resilient feats, or one of the spell damaging feats, I can't recall. But like you take it again, and then you can gain an exotic rune here, and like one of these here that we've went over would be like the exotic rune, and I think that'd be really, really cool. Would that take up people's feat slot? Yes, it would. But would it be worth it? Probably. That's one way I could see it, so that all of a sudden, like, I don't want the rune fighter here to be completely overpowered, because you gain a feat and that's all you wanted out of the class, and no one ever actually plays it, because like a lot of these runes go so well with other classes, and it's absolutely fantastic. But like, I don't know. So I mean, like, I was thinking a +1 on your sword, or a +1 on your shield, or a +1 on your armor, right? But the thing with that is that I wanted to make it so that it would go over the +3. So like, say your shield is already enchanted, you would add a rune onto it and it would become a plus. Like if the shield was a +3 and then it becomes a +4. I don't see that as broken. I don't see that as game changing or game altering to an insane degree. Like, yeah, they'd probably gain a +2 sword a lot quicker, or a +3 sword a lot quicker. I mean, as a dungeon master, you need to be, well, you don't need to listen to anything I fucking have to say, but if you really want to challenge your players, like, yeah, I want to see my players as badass. I want to see them having fun and get into their character and feel powerful, and or feel weak, even, because that's something that's it's very important. If they don't feel weak at any point, they won't ever feel powerful. I want to see them just like rise to the top, and through them, I lost my train of thought. Let's move on. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Wow. That mustn't have been important. Anyways, I want them. Oh yeah, sorry, +1. So having them as like a +4, like, this isn't a big deal. Like, come up with encounters that would challenge them. Maybe, you know, if your boss NPC would have had a a 17 AC, give them an 18. I mean, like, it's like, you don't need to like necessarily even do that. You can give them a little bit more health. I mean, it's nothing that's so fucking insane, but that's like one that'd be a minor rune, and like, I know it's a very, very powerful one, which I can see most people taking, but I think that this class could really benefit from having the again, like, maybe the class has these exotic runes. They can learn up to like say 3, and then there'd be a whole bunch of minor runes where they can learn up to like 6, or I would say less than that. Maybe like 3 minor runes and 3 major runes, and that'd be pretty fun. And yeah, it would add. The only issue I'd have with that is that it would be limiting with, you know, creating runes. So I'm kind of torn about this, honestly. Or, you know what? Yeah, no, that's fine. They can have up to 3 minor runes active and up to 3 major runes active. I think that would be okay. Like, because right now, I believe at the end of this character's level, like I'm saying progressively as this character levels 3 and 3, As at the end of this level, at the end of this character, I believe they have up to 4 runes active at any one time, which is really powerful. 3 of them, I think, kind of limits them and narrows their scope a little bit. But if they happen to add more, like the minor runes, and they happen to have like, oh, that +1 to the weapon attack, +1 to their armor, +1 to fucking whatever, or it could be something else that's minor. Like these are very powerful and really cool. Or I don't want to see effects like this as like pretend that this here doesn't exist and it's just this first bit. That could be like a minor rune, for example. Like that's nothing that's all too insanely powerful, but I don't think that'd really fit onto necessarily the minor rune. Like I guess I could. And maybe you would open it up for these like, more exotic runes to be a bit more crazy. But I don't know. I'm going to kind of leave it there. I'm feeling like I want to move on. Alright. Finally. I've moved past the first thing that you get. Besides the tool proficiency in this archetype. This is going to be a long video. I'm probably not going to edit most of it. It's going to be disturbing. Giant's Might. You can imbue yourself with the Might of the Giants. As a bonus action, you magically gain the following benefits, which last for 1 minute. If you are smaller than large, you become large, along with anything you're wearing. And if you lack the rune to become large, your size doesn't change. That's insane. So once you become large, I believe large creatures just automatically have a reach of 10 feet. So that's very impressive. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. So again, very akin to the Barbarian. I don't remember if they have advantage. I don't think that they have advantage on the strength saving throws. I know that they have advantage on strength checks as when they're raging, but I could be wrong. I don't think that they have advantage on strength saving throws. So that's an improvement, and I like it because of reasons that I'll get into in a little bit here. Your weapon attack now deals an extra 1d6 damage. You can use this feature twice. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest, which is fine. So first things first, I think the brute for the UA is completely fucking redundant now. The brute gets like a D4 or something like that to start, or maybe it's a D6. But with all of these other things that you gain, the runes, the fucking size increase, becoming large, like, this is wild. I don't think there's any reason to play the brute, which I'm completely fine with this archetype completely overthrowing the brute, because the brute was just dull and boring. It was kind of like the wannabe barbarian type, but not fully committing, and I feel like this really commits to the barbarian type, but a more intelligent barbarian, so to say, and a more protective type playstyle. I love this character so much. But yeah, so this will go up to a D8 and then a D10, I believe. You have advantage on strength checks and savings. I don't think that they do have advantage on strength saving throws. I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to leave that as a fucking mystery. If someone's watched up to this point, say so in the comments. Hi. If you have a small, but yeah, this is amazing. Again, this pairs extraordinarily well with the Hill Rune. So, like, you activate that. What can you activate? The Hill Rune? So the Hill Rune, you have to activate with a bonus action, and Giant's Might you have to activate with a bonus action. So you can do that on consecutive turns, one or the other. Essentially, once you activate your Hill Rune and you activate Giant's Might, you're a fucking barbarian in plate. This is if you want to be a barbarian in plate, here you go. It's really cool. It's really powerful. There's a lot of potential. Obviously, you gain other benefits from rage, but I'm just kind of so excited by all this. But yeah, not much more to say about that. We're actually going to move on to the next bit instead of spending 40 minutes talking about it. So defensive runes. You learn to invoke your magic to protect your allies. When another creature you can see within 60 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use a reaction to grant a bonus to the creature's AC against the attack. The bonus equals 1 plus your intelligence modifier, minimum of +2. In addition, you learn 1 new rune from your choice of the runic magic for a total of 3. Holy shit, this is really cool. So I believe I had it up here before I scrolled up like an idiot. The Cavalier. So Cavalier gains something akin to this. They gain the Unwavering Mark. Starting at 3rd level, you can menace your foes, foiling their attacks, punishing them for harming others. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can mark a creature until the end of your next turn. This effect ends early if you're incapacitated or you die, or if someone else marks the creature. While within 5 feet of you, a creature marked by you has disadvantage on attack rolls that doesn't target you. So this is very akin to the tanking thing that I was mentioning. It's very much, I consider it more support. In addition, a creature marked by you deals damage to anyone other than you. You can make a special weapon attack. As a bonus action on your next turn, you have advantage on the attack roll, and if the attack hits the attack weapon deals extra damage to the target equal to half of your fighter's level. Pretty cool. I really like the Cavalier. They're very cool. The only thing with this, though, is that it's limited to your strength modifier. So let's assume +5. You can only do this 5 times. Only 5 times. I mean, that's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. You can give a disadvantage to, like, say, the boss for 5 rounds of combat, or you can go ahead and spread that out. It's pretty nice. With this here, you can do this every turn, forever, the defensive runes. So if you have a high intelligence, while it isn't granting disadvantage is great, this has no limitation to it. This is just, you fucking increase your... So, like, this would obviously stack too. Like, say you're a wizard, use a shield, and then you use this defensive rune, and say you have a +5 to your intelligence. They have a +11 all of a sudden to their AC. Holy shit. So I view this as a lot more powerful. Like, I like the idea with the Cavalier where you get this extra attack and all that shit. It's very cool, but it's very situational. With this, it's just... As long as you're playing it right... Well, right. As long as you're playing it smart, so to say. Like, this is insane. Like, I don't think it's broken, necessarily, either. I think that this is quite nice. It acts very much like... It acts kind of like a rogue's... I'm kind of comparing it to the Uncanny Dodge, or the Evasion abilities, except with this, it's the Wizard Shield ability, and you're casting it on someone else. You're like an Abjuration Wizard. God, it's so cool. I'm losing my voice. Oh my god, this tea is horrible. Anyways. So yeah, defensive runes. I love this ability. This is like the runes and the giant smite. Everything about that is amazing. And then on top of that, you get defensive runes. Holy shit. I love this ability. And this is why I think, like, this character paired with... Ooh, I just mentioned the Abjuration Wizard. Can you imagine? You take 1st level fighter, that way you're able to wear plate easier. And then you go ahead and you start, like, dueling to the Abjuration Wizard. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. It might be good, it might not. I still feel like that the best multi-class for this build at the moment would be the Artificer and this. They'd be really cool together. But I mean, like, just this alone is really awesome. But yeah, the defensive runes... I love this. I love anything that supports my group, anything that supports my team, anything that makes the other players at the board like me and want to keep me around. Not just because of my charm and good looks. So, great stature. The magic of your runes permanently alters you. When you gain this feature, roll 3d4. You grow a number of inches in height equal to the roll maneuver. Pardon me. You gain, moreover, the extra damage you deal with your giant might feature increases to d4, and you learn a new magic rune feature. It's pretty cool. Like, there's a physical growth to you, and I really, really like that. So, you're just, you know, if you want to play Goliath, that'd be really cool. You start off as like a 7-foot motherfucker, and all of a sudden you become 8 feet. And then you grow to a large size as a Goliath. Yeah, geez, that's very much like Grog once he got his Titan Stone Knuckles, I believe they're called. I won't go too much into that. Like, I think I've already brought up Critical Role like twice now. But yeah, so Giant Stature is just an improvement on what you already have, and you gain a nice little feature, and you gain an extra rune. So now you have a total of 4 runes. You can place them up to anywhere. By 10th level, that's insane. 4 runes? That's a lot of fucking runes. 15th level, you can evoke the magic of your runes for your runes that you have twice rather than once, and you gain all expended uses on a short or long rest. So this is where the character can really start to pick up, and I think you'd start to be a bit more free to use the these very, very powerful runes every now and again. Otherwise, you're kind of just swinging, and you're waiting. So I'm really glad that this is here. I would say maybe switch to the runic. It's kind of hard. It's kind of very hard. I don't know. I kind of want to see that sooner. I kind of want to see it to, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I want to see it sooner because, I don't know, I want people to feel more freeing to use their abilities. I guess this kind of plays a little bit like a Warlock in that sense, where you have to be really smart about how you use your 2 spell slots for the longest time. But, with this, yeah, you know what, that's fine. Warlocks have to deal with this, you have to deal with this. Whatever. It's just learning how to better use your abilities. But with this, by this point now, you have 5 runes now. So not only technically you go from 4 runes to 10 that you can use. Not to say that you can use 10 unique runes, but you can use 10 of them, which is pretty nice. Like as the actions, the secondary effects here. So that's more than a double of the usages there. Now that I think about that, so. Yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. And then for the 18th level, Blessing of the All-Father, you learn how to share your rune magic with your allies. When you use your Giant Might feature, you can choose one willing creature you can see within 60 feet. The chosen creature also gains the benefits of your Giant Might feature. Holy shit. That's pretty fucking dope. So, obviously, any barbarians, anything that... it depends on how you build your character. Like, gosh. Yeah, any barbarians with this, they'll love it. I mean, they gain advantage on their strength saving throws. It's just the extra damage, really, for the barbarians. You have smaller or large to become larger. How else did that read? When you rune magic, use a Giant Might feature, you can... So, Giant Might feature. I mean, like, that's neat. It's not as cool as I think it could be. But at the same time, I don't really mind because the rest of this class is fucking amazing. And, yeah. So yeah, I guess they'd just be doing an extra D8 damage, which, I mean, that's extra damage that otherwise wasn't being done. Is it D8 or is it a D10 at that point? That's just a D8, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's nice, it's more beneficial, you're more of a support role. Who else could this really benefit? I guess it would really benefit a samurai. Advantage on strength checks, saving throws. I mean, if there's like some sort of strength obstacle to get through, you and a barbarian, like there's nothing that would fucking stop you. So in that case of a strength skill pass of athletics or whatever, if both of you working together, you're fucking unstoppable, really. 18th. Not really a dud, but not really like, oh. But, whatever. The rest of it, honestly, this is absolutely amazing. I love it. This is a fantastic class. I'm going to go ahead and take a look here. Giant's Might, defensive runes, pretty well too. But yeah, no, there's not much else to be said. I believe that is it. I'm not going to go too much into multiclassing. I kind of dabbled a little bit here and there into it. But it is a thoroughly impressive archetype. This is a fucking gem. Alright? I want to see some improvement, though. Like, it's not perfect, obviously. Nothing is. But, again, if I really want to see that there's some sort of feat added to the game, along with this, along with how the Battle Master fighter works. and how they can, you know, people can gain a maneuver here and there. But I also want to see more runes added, not just you know, people going out and homebrewing and crafting their own runes. I want there to be like the exotic runes that we see here. These could be the exotic ones, and then some basic runes that like the feat could involve. Maybe maybe how that could work is that how I'm just trying to think of my own homebrew now, is that the feat would grant them access to being able to learn and craft the basic runes. And so this how this fighter archetype would progress is that you learn how to craft the basic runes, but as well you've been taught an exotic rune, and or passed down, or you found traces, however you want to explain that lore wise or story wise. And so that the class itself can learn an exotic rune right away, but the feat you can't, and maybe you have to invest another feat into it, or maybe there's a harder skill check for you to learn an exotic rune. So there's plenty of ways that I could see it happening within my own homebrew. I'm trying to think of how it could work within just the game itself, I guess. That would be accepted at a large, I should say. But that's gonna have to be a long... That's a long fucking walk down fucking... Shit, I just swore a lot. Anyways, love it. I love this class. If you get the chance to play a fighter, maybe you weren't thinking you're all too interested in fighters before because the only I mean, like, fighters... I think fighters get kind of a bad rap. Hi. You having fun, buddy? Yeah. It's a good time. It's good timing, because I'm about done. But I think fighters get kind of a bad rap. That, they're kind of treated more as, like... They're treated more like barbarians are. Like, barbarians they even get a bad rap for being dumb brutes, which a lot of them are. But, nope, you're making sound on the mic, bud. But, I think this adds so much to the story and adds so much to the game. And, yeah. What's up? What's up? You doing good? But, gosh. I love this so much. And I really look forward to having, if any of my players want to play this, so fucking go right ahead. But, yeah. A lot of potential here. Have fun with it, guys. Live with this shit. Again, look to the Artificer for multiclassing into this, because the Artificer, I think there's a lot of potential. I might do a separate video about multiclassing. You know what? I am going to do a separate video about multiclassing and how everything could be crazily out of tune and broken, because I see a lot of little things here for some insane shit. I'm gonna do that. Thank you for following me on this tangent, if you somehow survived this long. I probably made a lot of weird faces now that I think about it. Drank a lot of water. How are you? Yeah? Okay. You probably can't even see my cat, can you? I might have just been petting my lap. So, before I leave, look at this. This buddy just recently had surgery, and you can see his tum-tum. So, not like that. Okay, he's going crazy. Alright, bye-bye. Have a good one.